Hi guys, and welcome back to the Caribbean Spot. This is part 4B, the secret sale and the media spin. Let's get into it. Before we go further into the U.S. court filings and subpoenas out of New York, we must first address the Caribbean courts that had the chance to stop this and chose not to, whether by silence, presumption, or political influence. What happened in those courtrooms shaped everything that followed. Two courts played pivotal roles: the High Court of Antigua and Barbuda, which first denied the request for an injunction, and the Eastern Caribbean Court of Appeal, which upheld that decision, even after the lower court admitted there were serious constitutional issues, potential property rights violations involved. In plain terms, the trial court saw the fire and let it burn, and the appellate court watched it spread. If the court saw the constitutional violations, why did they step aside? And if the law was worth questioning, why wasn't the sale paused until the truth came out? These are the questions the judiciary must answer, not just for Yulia, but for every Caribbean citizen who depends on justice. While the courts looked the other way, the government was executing one of the most questionable maritime sale in Caribbean history. This wasn't just about a boat. It was about power, politics, and payoff. Let's start with the man at the center. Darwin Telemaque, the port manager. According to court filings, he's not just a logistics executive. He's a political ally of Prime Minister Gaston Browne and a business partner in a SwissX crypto carbon venture, a platform associated with over 100 million hectares in carbon credit tradings. There is no public record indicating whether this partnership was disclosed to the people of Antigua and Barbuda. No transparency, no separation of power, and that same man was handed authority via a rushed law, #it was rushed, to declare the Alfa Nero abandoned and pushed it to auction. According to new evidence from the U.S. federal court filings in the Southern District of New York, specifically case number 125-MC-0098, this amended law, Section 38A of the Port Authority Act, was at the heart of Yulia's legal challenge. Her legal team argued that it wasn't just arbitrary, it was a strategic legislative move designed to enable the government to take the yacht while pretending to follow due process. We uncover that. And here's where it gets worse. While Yulia was fighting the law in court, the port manager, Mr. Darwin Telemaque, was publicly stating, but first, let's hear what he actually said just days ago.
Port Manager Darwin Telemaque echoes the Prime Minister's stance, pointing out that doing nothing would have sunk more than just a ship. It could have crippled the marine industry.
That risk would be one where if it was abandoned, it ran aground, blocking the channel. To get a ship of the size required to remove that size ship would require us to dredge the entire Falmouth Harbor Channel to get a ship deep enough to come up to remove it.
I know you heard it from the horse's mouth itself, right? And you heard the word if. If you didn't hear the if, let's break it down. He said if it was abandoned, yet the same government had already declared it abandoned, passed a law based on that declaration and sold it. So which is it, Mr. Telemaque? Mr. Gaston Browne? Was it legally abandoned? Hypothetically abandoned to gain public sympathy? Like, we're here lost for thoughts right now. Put it together. The truth is, sorry, I'm not using if. The truth is, it was not abandoned. It was immobilized. And I showed you that before in the evidence. The risk Telemaque described was manufactured by the same government that restricted the vessel, blocked its movement, and refused refueling. This wasn't protection. This was entrapment. The documented restrictions, from denied refueling to ignored ownership notices, paint a picture of isolation that was far from accidental. As stated in an article published by the Luxury Launches on September 12, 2023, Telemaque is quoted in this article as saying, "We have asked for it to be removed by its owners, but it is still there. And as of now, the government has taken the only step it could to remove it." This came from the Luxury Launches / Hayes Declaration, Doc 5, paragraph 13. But this directly contradicts documented court filings showing the owner and their representatives had been reaching out repeatedly through emails, legal letters, and formal court action, all of which were ignored by the Antiguan government. According to filings in claim number ANUHCV 2023-0185, Yulia's legal team had been contacting government officials since March 1st, 2023, months before that quote was published. These contacts are not only reflected in the Eastern Caribbean court records, but are also explicitly cited in the U.S. federal filings in case number 1:25-MC-0098. Multiple exhibits submitted in the U.S. case show copies of these communications, proving the government was repeatedly notified and chose not to respond. But let's be clear, the Alfa Nero was not abandoned. It was immobilized, trapped. The people on board didn't walk away by choice. They were effectively forced off the vessel through restrictions and advisories from the Antiguan government. This wasn't an abandoned yacht, it was a calculated isolation. Her legal team argued that it wasn't just arbitrary. It was a strategic, legislative move designed to enable government to take the yacht while pretending to follow due process. That law, Section 38A of the Port Authority Amendment Act, passed on March 20, 2023, it gave Telemaque the very power Yulia was fighting in court. By June 2023, a public auction was staged. Eric Schmidt, former Google CEO, placed a $67 million bid, but within days, he walked away. He never paid. Enter Warren Hale, a U.S. investor and second bidder who had already put $10 million in escrow. But instead of clean dealings, Hale says he had to speak directly with Gaston Browne to negotiate. And when things got murky, he filed a lawsuit, citing shady procedures, interference, and political pressure. The lawsuit named the Attorney General, whose own son, Damien Benjamin, was Hale's lawyer. Yes, you heard that right. A legal case where the government is both plaintiff and defendant. And what did the Attorney General say? He wasn't worried. He expected the sale to go through. This leads us into the officials, the denials, and the damning receipts. And just days before this episode, the Prime Minister of Antigua, Gaston Browne, appeared on ABS TV to defend the sale, saying, quote, hold on, let me play the video.
Prime Minister Gaston Browne says the US $40 million sale of the sanctioned Russian-linked super yacht was not just legal, it was necessary.
So if we had to do it again, considering the options that are available, would have done it again, absolutely.
If we had to do it again, considering the options that are available, we would do it again. Absolutely. This is his statement. ABS TV Antigua, April 11, 2025. He doubled down, calling the deal legal and necessary, while once again labeling critics as conspirators. Darwin Telemaque repeated his line about abandonment, while government-aligned attorney Anthony Astaphan dismissed rising concerns as misinformation. But what they call a witch hunt, the courts call a federal investigation. And what they say is transparency, the documents still say otherwise. As they try to manage the fallout, one truth remains clear. The firestorm is here and it's not going away. The Antiguan government launched another wave of damage control, releasing what is claimed to be updated financial records, proves transparency, and they would be making it available to Parliament. But even in their latest version, the only real change was a small bump in legal fees paid to government-aligned attorney Anthony Astaphan, now totaling just over $98,000. The government insists all money is accounted for and that the sale was above board. But here's the reality. Redactions remain. Court-ordered disclosures were never properly satisfied, and the core sale documents, according to court testimony, went missing. Prime Minister Gaston Browne and his administration may say they have nothing to hide, but the paper trail tells a different story. So we'll keep following it, line by line, document by document, until every unanswered question is brought to light.